Presentation skills. Welcome to the Presentation Skills Workshop. This program can benefit anyone who presents, a trainer, a meeting facilitator, speaker, or seminar discussion leader. No matter which role you're assuming, this workshop will help you become more efficient and proficient with the skills of providing information to others. Research has consistently demonstrated that when clear goals are associated with learning, the learning occurs more easily and rapidly. With that in mind, let's review our goals for today. By the end of this workshop, you should be able to perform a needs analysis and prepare an outline, select presentation delivery methods, practice verbal and nonverbal communication skills, overcoming nervousness, develop and use flip charts with color, create targeted PowerPoint presentations, utilize whiteboarding for reinforcement, describe how video and audio enhance a presentation, and list criteria for determining what types to use. Enrich the learning experience with humor, questions, and discussion.
It takes 3 weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech. Mark Twain.
We will look at the steps to follow when creating a plan to improve your presentation skills. The first thing to look at is how to perform a needs analysis. This will help you to understand your audience and provide you with the answers to a few basic questions. A basic outline and some minor research would then be utilized to help create the basic program that will assist you in developing greater presentation skills. A needs analysis is performed when there is a lack of knowledge, skills, or attitude that is negatively affecting a group of employees, customers, etc. It is the process of identifying and evaluating training that should be done to improve a current situation. Challenges are defined and opportunities noted. A needs analysis will help the trainer set goals and priorities and decide which method to use to deliver the message. The information gathered will become the basis of a well-delivered presentation. The results of the research will help to answer the following questions. What knowledge, skill, or attitude is in need of change? How will the required data be collected? What gaps exist between expert, average, and poor performers? How will the needs analysis be translated into objectives to promote a positive learning outcome? The method can be simple: observation, careful note-taking, and asking questions. Audience. Interview key stakeholders and listen to their concerns about the problem. Define who needs help to overcome what problem. Identify and describe the audience and the work. Tasks. Observe the work of recognized experts in this field. Take careful notes and ask questions when needed. Document the proper performance of the work tasks. Gaps. Observe other employees doing the tasks. Compare results with the performance of experts. Document identified skill gaps. Outcome. Develop a complete list of tasks for performing the work completely and correctly. Example. Although the call center reps are empowered to assist customers, several are not solving callers' product problems. Instead, they are passing them on to the escalation desk, creating a bottleneck and unhappy customers. The needs analysis identified a task called Resolve Customer Complaints. Some of its subtasks are: answer call, listen to customer's problem, express empathy for the trouble, open a new support ticket, resolve complaint per the list of allowable resolutions, document resolution in the call notes, close support ticket. To develop the outline of the needs analysis, group the tasks that fit together logically and create headings that reflect the goal of the subtasks. Handling a call, answer call, listen to customer's problem, express empathy for the trouble, open a new support ticket, resolve the complaint per the list of allowable resolutions, documenting call resolution, document the resolution in the call notes, close support ticket, add headings for an introduction and workshop objectives at the beginning, and a wrap-up and evaluation at the end, and your basic outline is complete. A great presentation will be crafted in a simple and logical format that allows your audience to keep pace with you and retain key points of your message. Having a natural flow to your presentation will help you remain calm, stay on topic, and avoid awkward silence. Keep in mind that the aim of your presentation is to educate and inspire. When structuring the flow of your presentation, keep in mind the 3 A's: audience, aim, afterwards. What do you know about your audience? Your audience should determine the content and approach of your presentation. Find out what they know. Use their words and terms. A group of youth interested in entrepreneurship won't experience the same presentation as a group, the senior entrepreneur. Ask yourself this question: what is the aim of my presentation? What do I want the audience to do after my presentation? Referring to this question as you build your presentation will help you stay on track and focused. What will they learn? What happens afterwards? What outcomes should be expected? What changes in the workplace should occur? Who will implement these changes? Compiling data to create a compelling presentation will require some planning, researching. The needs analysis has likely produced much of the supporting content required to build the program. However, if information gaps exist, return to your subject matter experts and ask them questions. What are the department needs? What are some problems your department is experiencing? How long has this been a problem? What would indicate to you that the problem has been solved? Writing. Brainstorming will allow you to organize the information you've gathered into a template so your material is consistent from the beginning. Break each module into reasonably spaced segments based on the total time available for the presentation. When writing, aim for brevity. The more you say, the less the audience remembers. Make sure to validate your finalized content before you move on to editing. Editing. As you edit, write for the ear, not for the eyes. If possible, limit the outline to 5 main ideas. Make sure sentences are 20 words or less and only convey one thought. Use simple, familiar words. Make sure that you have provided the definitions of any terms important to the learning experience. Try to be creative with your module titles to capture the audience's attention. Much like a well-written essay, a well-prepared presentation will flow from one idea to the next. Once you've completed the template and established which direction to take your presentation in, you can use the following outline to ensure an engaging and concise presentation. Greeting. Introduce yourself or have someone else do it. State who you are and your relevant background. Introduction. Explain the subject matter and the purpose of the presentation. Issues and challenges being explored. Statement of goals and outcomes. Length of session. Direct audience. When to ask questions, freely or at designated times. Provide a presentation agenda or other materials. Main body. Here is where you deliver on your promise to cover issues and challenges that need to be addressed. Break information into segments. Provide evidence for your argument. Link each segment so that flow is consistent and understandable. Conclusion. This is your chance to reinforce the message and clarify the overall purpose of the presentation. Signal the audience that your presentation is nearly over. Offer a brief recap of what was covered. Ask for questions from the audience. Thank them for their time. Now, let's look at a practical illustration. Ben sat down with Audrey in his office. So, you told me there were significant problems with new medical record system. Audrey sighed. Yes. Despite the use of online tutorials, the staff still finds the system difficult to use. Ben said, first, I think we need to do a needs analysis to make sure that this training will be as effective as possible. Ben took Audrey through a list of questions regarding the audience's problem that needed to be solved. The tasks and subtasks an expert would need to complete, the gaps between different workers, and then translated the needs into objectives to ensure a strong learning outcome. The training was a success, and the office was ready in time for the rollout of the new system.
I never teach my pupils. I only attempt to provide the conditions in which they can learn. Albert Einstein.
Now, it's time to determine what methods you will use to deliver your presentation. We will begin by covering basic delivery methods. Once we have a good foundation and grasp on the basic methods, we will delve into more advanced methods. Lecture. If you must lecture occasionally, use multimodality to keep your audience's attention. Face animation, hand gestures, and voice tone are strategies that can enhance your presentation and make the delivery more interactive. Allow the opportunity for questions from the participants. Ask for a show of hands to the questions you ask. Further tips to liven up a lecture. While time-honoured lecturing may be considered a boring way to teach, it can be effective if the presenter builds interest, understanding, and retention, involves participants, and reinforces what has been presented. Provide a relevant anecdote, fictional story, cartoon, or graphic that captures the audience's attention. Reduce the major points in the lecture to keywords that act as verbal subheadings or memory aids. Provide real-life illustrations of the ideas in the lecture and, if possible, create a comparison between your material and the knowledge and experience the participants already have. Interrupt the lecture periodically and challenge participants to give examples of the concepts presented so far, or to answer spot quiz questions. Intersperse brief activities that illuminate the points you're making. Post a problem or question for participants to solve based on the information given in the lecture. Ask participants to review the contents of the lecture with one another or give them a self-scoring review test. Discussion. A discussion led by the presenter can be rich in interactivity. Post visuals around the room to refer to throughout the discussion. Keep in mind that if 65% of people are visual learners, then it's true that a picture paints 1,000 words. Further tips to liven up a discussion. Become a part of the discussion. Literally sit with or walk around the audience speaking to each member. Initiate conversation. Ask for members to share an idea or story. Ask a question and invite the audience to discuss it among themselves. Use a symbol or prop to promote retention of your topic. Role play to demonstrate your idea or topic. Paraphrase what a participant has said so that they feel understood, and so the other participants can hear a concise summary of what has been said. Confirm your understanding of a statement or clarification about what was said. Small group learning experiences. A small group experience provides direction towards specific learning goals and provides a high degree of participant involvement. Dyads, groups of two. Using pairs provides unlimited options for simple, interactive experiences. You can say, turn to the person on your right and, using dyads, manages the attention span, the extent of influence, and the focus of the goal. The learning experience is relatively intimate. Triads, groups of three. Trios expand the focus and experience opportunities. A measure of intimacy is still retained, but multiple viewpoints can be contributed. Triads are useful for producing definitions, establishing priorities, or providing an ongoing support system. Case study. The case study method is the presentation of detailed information about a particular situation, often problem solving. Case studies can be very creative exercises, and they are well suited for small groups. Here are 6 guidelines for developing a case study. Determine the principle you wish to have the case. Emphasize. Establish a situation that demonstrates the principle. Develop appropriate symptoms. Develop the characters. Write the case. Provide questions to guide the learners as they process the case study to solve a problem. After you feel comfortable with basic delivery methods, you can begin to explore some of the more challenging ways to present and facilitate learning experiences. Role play. Role-playing allows participants to act out a behavioural role. This exercise, done with small groups or large groups, allows members to expand their awareness of varying points of view and provides an experiential learning opportunity. A role-play can be used in several ways: to solve a participant problem, clarify or sharpen an issue, or demonstrate a skill approach to a task. Importantly, it gives people an opportunity to practice a skill or approach in a safe environment and use the experience later on the job. Here are several tips for managing a role-play exercises. Obtain volunteers rather than making assignments. Use role-play later in the training session when participants know each other better. Select low-threat situations, such as a work group holding a staff meeting. Problem solving. Problem-solving experiences are increasingly popular in training presentations because they allow participants to gain real-world experience that often depicts a similar workplace scenario. There are 3 phases to a problem-solving exercise. 1. Defining the problem and generating data about it. Give details defining why the problem exists. Discuss logical and emotional appeals. 2. Generating potential solutions. Explain why this would help the audience. 3. Selecting and implementing a solution. Explain to the audience what they need to do. Virtual presentations. Work teams may be spread across the country or around the world. Webinars, video conference platforms, and teleconferences allow you to reach a global audience. As convenient as these options may be in our modern world, there are a few points to consider when preparing and delivering virtually. Consider the background. What will the audience see? Be mindful of lighting. Close the blinds, light your face. Wear neutral colours with no patterns. Look into the camera, not at the screen or the audience. Stand if possible. You will have better control of your movements and of your breathing. Plug into your modem to ensure an uninterrupted connection. 10-minute rule. After that, encourage participation or change methods. Use visuals, audience engagement. Rehearse to ensure everything works. Record your practice session, re-watch, and decipher what could be improved. If possible, have someone nearby to assist with any issues that may arise to ensure no interruption. Below are several of the many proven methods that are available to help participants with each phase. Defining the problem and generating data about it. Pareto analysis. Vilfredo Pareto, a mathematician and economist, coined the 80-20 inches rule. A Pareto analysis allows you to group and analyze data for a problem such as defects in a model of a kitchen faucet. Or force field analysis. Kurt Lewin defined driving forces and restraining forces that influence the solution to a problem. Generating potential solutions? Brainstorming. Brainstorming allows a group to generate a large volume of ideas about a problem or potential solutions. Later, the results must be condensed to a workable number of ideas, typically through grouping, and then voted on. Or the Delphi technique. Originally used by the Rand Corporation, the Delphi technique allows the anonymous generating of ideas which are then filtered. Selecting and implementing a solution, ranking. Participants rank options on a given scale, with or without criteria. Or the journalist's 6 questions. Use who, what, when, where, why, and how questions to generate data. A training presentation may use any combination of delivery methods as long as the net result is to achieve learning outcomes and consider organizational requirements and constraints. The process below will help you select the best training delivery options to meet your training needs. 1. List all possible learning methodologies that could be used to achieve the session objectives. The 4 most common methods of learning: VARC, visual, auditory, reading, writing, kinesthetic. Your audience will undoubtedly be comprised of all 4 learning styles. Use of audio-visual tools, workbooks, handouts, and activities and discussion should all be included as delivery methods to ensure everyone has a chance to pick up on key notes of the presentation. 2. Identify possible delivery options for the learning methodologies. PowerPoint, flip chart, visual, reading, writing, clear enunciation, well-paced speech, auditory, workbooks, activities, kinesthetic, reading, writing. 3. Identify the organizational. Understand what you are permitted and not permitted to do. Presenter. Know your own limitations. Facility and resource parameters. Is there enough room for activities and breakout sessions? And the impact each will have on delivery options. At a bank, the outcome of the process might look like this. List the 5 key customer support principles at a bank. Lecture only the principles using the flip chart or PowerPoint for emphasis, and then add interactivity. Find a lead-off story. Develop a group problem-solving exercise to provide follow-up practice. Demonstrate a performance problem with a customer support team in a bank. Role play. Use triads. Find extra space. Generate ideas for improving customer support service, brainstorming. Procure additional flip charts for groups. Now let's look at a practical illustration. Fatima finished the first hour and a half of her presentation. When the training broke for a quick 15 minutes, she reflected. During the training, she'd noticed that some of the participants seemed sluggish and unfocused. When everyone returned to their seats, Fatima spoke to the audience with fresh enthusiasm. Our next segment of the training deals with the notorious subject of customer complaints. I know that there's a wealth of experience in this room already. So, I want you to turn to the person next to you and share a time when you received a customer complaint and how you dealt with it. Fatima watched the participants become involved in their discussions. The room re-energized and the training became more interactive and more successful.
Good communication is as stimulating as black coffee and just as hard to sleep after. Anne Morrow Lindbergh.
Good communication skills are vital to providing an engaging presentation. Without the ability to verbalize your ideas and opinions, there is very little chance of having a successful presentation. We will begin by looking at listening and hearing skills, continue with learning to ask quality questions, and finish with exploring how to communicate effectively. Hearing is the act of perceiving sound by the ear. Assuming an individual is not hearing impaired, hearing simply happens. Listening, however, is something that one consciously chooses to do. Listening requires concentration so that the brain processes meaning from words and sentences. Listening leads to learning. This is not always an easy task. The normal adult rate of speech is 150 words per minute, but the brain can think at a rate of 500 words per minute, leaving extra time for daydreaming or anticipating the speaker's or the recipient's next words. Listening skills, however, can be learned and refined. 3 types of questions are useful in a presentation: open questions, clarifying questions, and closed questions. Open questions. Open questions stimulate thinking and discussion or responses, including opinions or feelings. They pass control of the conversation to the respondent. Leading words in open questions include why, what, or how. A statement such as, describe the characteristics of the car, is really an open question. Examples of open questions include, describe the style of the leader of the meeting. How do you feel when you hit a home run? Asking questions is both an art and a science. Your questions in a presentation should be clear and concise, covering a single issue, reasonable, based on what participants are expected to know, challenging to provoke thought, honest and relevant, eliciting logical answers, clarifying questions. A clarifying question helps to remove ambiguity, elicits additional detail, and guides you as you answer a question. Below are some examples. You said you liked apples more than oranges. Why is that? What sort of savings are you looking to achieve? Closed questions. Closed questions usually require a one-word answer and shut off discussion. Closed questions provide facts, allow the questioner to maintain control of the conversation, and are easy to answer. Typical leading words are is, can, how many, or does. Below are several examples of closed questions. Who will lead the meeting? Do you know how to open the emergency exit door on this aircraft? Phrasing. To evoke an answer, your question should use phrasing that is clear and concise, covering a single issue, reasonable, based on what participants are expected to know, challenging to provoke thought, honest and relevant, directing participants to logical answers, directing questions appropriately. Should you direct your questions to individuals or to an entire group? When you direct a question to an individual, you stimulate one participant to think and respond. Tap the known resources of an expert in the room. If you choose to direct your question to the group instead, you stimulate the thinking of all participants. Provide participants the opportunity to respond voluntarily. Avoid putting any one person on the spot. It has been said that you have between 30 seconds and 2 minutes to capture your participants' attention. It is critical to engage your audience from the beginning. Voice. 38% of the message received by a listener is governed by the tone and quality of your voice. The pitch, volume, and control of your voice will make a difference in audience perception. Pitch, how high or low your voice is. Avoid a high-pitched sound. Speak from your stomach, the location of your diaphragm. Volume. The loudness of your voice must be governed by your diaphragm. Speak through your diaphragm, not your throat. Quality. The color, warmth, and meaning given to your voice. Add emotion to your voice. Smile as much as possible when you are speaking. If you begin to feel impatient or stressed during your presentation, keep in mind that the tone of your voice can reflect your emotions. Having a good grasp on your voice and emotion control can be instrumental in getting you through an awkward situation. If such a situation arises, consider differences of opinion as a challenge or learning opportunity. Remain calm and control your voice. Command, selecting a good opener, is an important way to take command of an audience. Making judicious use of certain types of remarks will endear you to the audience from the moment the program starts. A dramatic story. A reference to a current or well-known news story. A personal experience. A rhetorical question. A historical event. Adventure, either past or present. More tips. Did we say practice? And practice again? Record yourself. It may be initially daunting to watch yourself on video, but critiquing and revamping your approach will help to boost your confidence. Smile and make eye contact with your audience. Stand up straight and tall, you will breathe easier, and breathing affects how your voice sounds. Dress like your audience or one level above it. The key is to look professional, respectful. The message received by a listener is governed by the tone and quality of your voice. The pitch, volume, and control of your voice all make a difference in audience perception. Now let's look at a practical illustration. Marco was giving lecture-style training. While this wasn't his favourite, it was what the company asked him to do. To break things up, he stopped to ask questions. He said, "I have 2 questions. One is a rhetorical question, unfortunately. This earned him just 1 or 2 short laughs. What would it be like to be a customer calling your company for the first time?" Marco's question was met with silence. After waiting a minute for them to consider this, he asked, "If you were a customer calling for the first time, what would you want?" This clear, open-ended question challenged the group. Slowly, the group offered thoughtful answers and became involved in a discussion. His goal of engaging the group and eliciting honest, logical answers was met.
The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. Peter F. Drucker.
Understanding your body language and other physical cues is very important when you are presenting material in front of an audience. Your nonverbal communication skills are just as important as your verbal skills. Combined, they make up the complete communication package that you use when you are presenting your material. Nonverbal communication is the process of communication through sending and receiving wordless messages. It is the single most powerful form of communication. Nonverbal communication cues you into what is on another person's mind, even more than voice or words can do. One study at UCLA found that up to 93% of communication effectiveness is determined by nonverbal cues. Another study indicated that the impact of a performance was determined 7% by the words used, 38% by voice quality, and 55% by nonverbal communication. Body language is a form of nonverbal communication involving the use of stylized gestures, postures, and physiologic signs which act as cues to other people. Humans unconsciously send and receive nonverbal signals through body language all the time. Your words represent only 7% of the message that is received. Your body language represents 55%, but your body language must match the words used. If a conflict arises between your words and your body language governs. Gestures are an important tool for a presenter. The challenge is to make gestures support the speaking, reinforcing ideas. Below are several basic rules for the use of gestures. Make most gestures above the waist. Those below the waist suggest failure, defeat, and despair. Hold your forearms parallel to the waist with your elbows about 3 inches from the side. Make your hands part of your forearm, opening them with your fingers slightly curved. Limp hands may indicate a lack of leadership. Use both hands to convey power. Gestures of direction, size, shape, description, feeling, and intensity are all effective when speaking. Signals are movements used to communicate needs, desires, and feelings to others. They are a form of expressive communication. More than 75% of the signals you send to others are nonverbal. People who are excellent communicators are sensitive to the power of the emotions and thoughts communicated nonverbally through signals. Types of nonverbal signals. Other than gestures already discussed, signals include eye contact. It's important to convey confidence. Here are 2 tricks to look like you're maintaining eye contact with your audience members. In large crowds, look between members of the audience. In smaller crowd of up to 20 members, look at their foreheads or noses. Posture. Stand tall, shoulders back, back straight, chin up. Correct posture will help you breathe properly. This in turn affects the tone of your voice. Body movements. Your movement should have a purpose and help to communicate your message. Nonverbal behavior conveys important information that isn't put into words. By paying closer attention to other people's nonverbal behaviors, you will improve your own ability to communicate nonverbally. Intervals of 4 to 5 seconds of eye contact are recommended. It is also important to use a tone of voice to reinforce the words in your presentation. For example, using an animated tone of voice emphasizes your enthusiasm for a participant's contribution in a debrief session. As a presenter, your words should match your nonverbal behaviors. If they do not, people will tend to pay less attention to what you said and focus instead on your nonverbal signals. Tone of voice. We are all born with a particular tone of voice. While most people are not gifted with a radio announcer's voice, we can learn to improve our tone of voice. The idea is to have your voice sound upbeat, warm, under control, and clear. Here are some tips to help you begin the process. Make sure you are breathing from the diaphragm. Stay hydrated by drinking lots of water and avoid caffeine due to its diuretic effects. Stand up tall. Posture affects breathing, which affects tone. Smile. It warms up the tone of your voice. If your voice is particularly high or low, exercise the range of your voice by doing a sliding scale. You can also expand the range of your voice by singing. Record your voice and analyze the playback. Practice speaking in a slightly lower octave. Deeper voices have more credibility than higher pitched voices. It will take getting used to pitching your voice down an octave, but it will be worth the effort. Get feedback from a colleague or family member about the tone of your voice. Now, let's look at a practical illustration. Monique took a deep breath as she stood in front of the room. She was exhausted from a week of traveling to different cities giving presentations. She thought, how am I going to get through this? She did some deep breathing exercises, and she remembered nonverbal communication said just as much as verbal communication. When the training started, Monique gave her biggest smile and gave the participants direct eye contact. Though she was tired, she focused on keeping good posture and making gestures with both her hands to convey power. After the first half of the training, she received modest applause from the audience. After the break, a participant came up and introduced herself. She said, "I'm really enjoying this training. I only wish on Monday morning that I had your energy."
You can teach your body confidence, and your body is your most powerful tool. Karen Hauff.
Nervousness is normal when giving a presentation. After all, public speaking is the top of the lists of fears. Nervousness can strike at different points in a presentation. At the beginning, if you feel the audience has slipped away from you, if your memory betrays you, presentations can be nerve-wracking, especially if you don't deliver them often. Preparing yourself mentally may alleviate some of the anxiety, but knowing your audience and preparing likewise will alleviate much of your pre-presentation nervousness. This module will provide you with concrete strategies for overcoming presentation jitters. Overcoming nervousness is a learnable skill like any other. Visualization is the formation of mental visual images. It is an excellent way to prepare your mind before a presentation and relieve fears. There are several types of visualization. Receptive visualization. Relax, clear your mind, sketch a vague scene, ask a question, and wait for a response. You might imagine you are on the beach, hearing and smelling the sea. You might ask, why can't I relax? And the answer may flow into your consciousness. Programmed visualization. Create an image, giving it sight, taste, sound, and smell. Imagine a goal you want to reach or a healing you wish to accelerate. Jane used visualization when she took up running, feeling the push of running the hills, the sweat, and the press to the finish line. Guided visualization. Visualize again a scene in detail, but this time leave out important elements. Wait for your subconscious to supply missing pieces to your puzzle. Your scene could be something pleasant from the past. The process for effective visualization. Loosen your clothing, sit or lie down in a quiet place and close your eyes softly. Scan your body, seek intention in specific muscles. Relax those muscles as much as you can. Form mental sense impressions. Involve all your senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. Use affirmations. Repeat short, positive statements and avoid negatives such as, I am not tense. Rather, say, I am letting go of tension. Use affirmations. Repeat short, positive statements that affirm your ability to relax now. Use present tense and positive language. As an example, tension flows from my body. I can relax at will. I am in harmony with life. Peace is within me. Visualize 3 times a day. It's easiest if you visualize in the morning and at night while lying in bed. Soon you will be able to visualize just about anywhere, especially before a presentation. People who are nervous tend to breathe many short, shallow breaths in their upper chest. Breathing exercises can alleviate this. You can do most breathing exercises anywhere. Below are some exercises that will assist you in relaxing. Breathing exercises. Deliberately controlling your breathing can help a person calm down. Ways to do this include breathing through one's nose and exhaling through one's mouth, breathing from one's diaphragm, and breathing rhythmically. Meditation. Meditation is a way of exercising mental discipline. Most meditation techniques involve increasing self-awareness, monitoring thoughts, and focusing. Meditation techniques include prayer, the repetition of a mantra, and relaxing movement or postures. Progressive muscle relaxation, PMR. PMR is a technique of stress management that involves mentally inducing your muscles to tense and relax. PMR usually focuses on areas of the body where tension is commonly felt, such as the head, shoulders, and chest area. It's a way to exercise the power of the mind over the body. Visualization. Visualization is the use of mental imagery to induce relaxation. Some visualization exercise involves picturing a place of serenity and comfort, such as a beach or a garden. Other visualization exercises involve imagining the release of anger in a metaphorical form. An example of this latter kind of visualization is imagining one's anger as a ball to be released to space. In addition to everything we've discussed, below are some tips for maintaining your confidence when you're on. Have a full dress rehearsal. Practice in front of a mirror or with friends. You could even record yourself. Get a good night's sleep. Practice your words along with your visuals. Memorizing your presentation is optimal, but a quick reference sheet of keywords and phrases to glance at creates the illusion of mastery. Know your audience. Ask questions about who will be attending. Make a list of the things you are worried about and challenge each by thinking of alternate outcomes. Maintaining eye contact is your goal. That sheet of keywords or phrases in large print on a podium or desk near you will help you to maintain flow. If you are traveling to a new site out of town, try to arrive early in the evening and locate the site. That way you won't be frazzled in the morning when trying to locate the venue. Mistakes will happen, but the audience will only remember how you react to them, not that you made them. Continue the natural flow of the structure you've prepared. A positive spin. When you acknowledge nervousness, you create engagement. The audience sees a vulnerable side to you and makes a personal connection. So, it's not always a bad thing. Now let's look at a practical illustration. Brian didn't understand why he felt nervous. Brian had practiced his words along with his visuals. He'd done a full dress rehearsal. He'd even gone to the site that morning to practice the route to the training site. Brian remembered that he hadn't tried deep breathing or meditation yet. He sat down in his easy chair, took deep breaths, and he visualized the training being a success. Afterwards, he felt refreshed and significantly calmer. Brian decided that he definitely needed to get a good night's sleep, so he'd be rested and ready in the morning. The next day, Brian still felt a little bit nervous. However, once he got started, the training went better than he could have expected. He was even invited back to do a follow-up training the following month.
It's a visual world, and people respond to visuals. Joe Sacco.
Information written on flip charts enhances the learning process. During a presentation, the use of flip charts serves to inform participants, record information, and focus attention on a topic. They represent a simple, low-cost learning aid with no requirements for power or technology and no worries about burned-out bulbs or darkened rooms. Flip charts add versatility and spontaneity to a presentation and allow the presenter to use creativity to enhance the learning process. At a minimum, you will need a flip chart easel. One with wheels would be optimal, several pads of flip chart paper, a few sets of coloured markers, and masking tape for posting the results of exercises. Also handy are several packages of sticky notes to flag specific pages and a straight edge. You may want to plan to cover up information that you will reveal at a given time during the presentation and then have some pre-cut paper available, sized appropriately for the text. If you're bringing pre-written charts to an off-site presentation, you will also need some type of container to protect the pages. There are many good reasons to pre-write your flip chart content. Confidence. You are in control of the material for your presentation, design, organization, and appearance. This also helps reduce nervousness. Appearance. Your material has a specific look and feel that is not necessarily easy to achieve when prepared during a session. Time. With your charts ready ahead of the presentation, the time during a presentation is used for learning activities, not writing, which keeps your back to the participants. Tips. Always print. Never use handwriting. Consider using a straight edge to stem tendency to write downhill, or use a pencil to lightly pre-write the content and then you can trace over it. Write notes in pencil. The audience won't be able to see them. You can tag your pages to save fumbling for the right sheet. Use a blank sheet or two between text to prevent peek through. If you're using charts in a sequence, number them. Good use of colour can make the difference in the dynamics of a presentation and participants' acceptance of the content. Conversely, the effect of a great chart can suffer from the poor use of colour. According to the Optical Society of America, blue, black, and green offer the greatest visibility, and blue is the most pleasing colour. Avoid purple, brown, pink, and yellow for any type of general printing. The use of 2 or 3 colour combinations can be very effective. Here are several rules. Red and orange should only be used as accent colours for bullets, underlines, or arrows, or for keywords when everything else is in black or blue. Avoid orange and blue together. Never use yellow. When creating your charts, take some time to think about the colours you are using and how they can enhance the understanding of your topic. Paper is not permanent, even if you are presenting at your own location. And if you're flying with your materials or shipping them, packages do occasionally get lost or damaged. You will need a backup plan in case something happens. Below are some tasks for creating your plan B. Keep documents on your computer organised by course, reflecting the content and order sequence of each flip chart. Make paper handouts of the most critical information on the charts. Take pictures of the chart pages and have the images with you on site. If you have time to recreate some of your charts, enlist a volunteer to help you reconstruct the most critical ones. If you will be returning to the site, consider leaving a set of your charts with a trusted colleague until you return. As time permits, duplicate your charts in PowerPoint. Although you will probably continue to use flip charts, having them available in PowerPoint becomes a backup. Now let's look at a practical illustration. Colin hurried into the room where his work partner, Elena, was preparing for the training they would give in 2 hours. She saw him and said, "Is something wrong?" He said, "You won't believe this. The airport lost my luggage." "Colin, I'm so sorry." He said, "No, I'm sorry. That luggage had those flip charts we worked so hard on the other day." Elena smiled and said, "Remember when I had my phone out taking pictures?" She scrolled through her phone and showed Colin the photos. "Don't worry, we've got all the information here." Colin let out a sigh of relief. "You're a lifesaver, Elena." He then said, "I know Rob's coming here to help us set up. With his help, we'll get these flip charts recreated in no time." They wrote out the information again with little trouble, and the training started on time with all their materials in hand.
Ask yourself, if I had only 60 seconds on the stage, what would I absolutely have to say to get my message across? Jeff Dewar.
Microsoft PowerPoint is a commanding tool for creating visual screens for a presentation. Visuals created in PowerPoint and projected on a screen are often easier to see in a large room than information displayed on a flip chart. Using PowerPoint offers the following benefits. Allows you to add emphasis to important concepts, helping to increase retention of information, adds variety to your presentation, makes it easier to display images, charts, or graphs possibly too complex for a flip chart. Also, PowerPoint files can easily be shared with participants or others after the session. To create and use a Microsoft PowerPoint file to support your presentation outline, you will need Microsoft Office PowerPoint software for Microsoft Windows or Macintosh OS. A Windows or a Mac computer equipped with the minimum hardware and software specifications for your version of PowerPoint. An LCD or DLP projector. A projection screen. Optionally, you may wish to add the following to your toolkit. Storage media, such as a USB memory stick, an extension cord, a laser pointer for emphasis during the discussion of a PowerPoint slide. Use the following suggestions to enhance the benefit of your PowerPoint presentation. Overall appearance. Display only one major concept on each slide. Use short phrases or bullet points rather than paragraphs. Limit each line of text to no more than 7, 8 words. Allow only 7, 8 lines of text per slide. Use images sparingly, 1 or 2 per slide. Leave a good amount of blank space in your presentation. Create a title for each slide. Use effects, transitions, animation, and sound very sparingly. Fonts and color. Use simple sans serif fonts such as Helvetica or Arial for readability. Select a point size of 32 or larger for titles and 20 points for body text. Use colors that work well together, such as yellow or white on a dark blue background. Check the readability and visibility of your fonts and color choices with the lighting in the room in which you will present. Preparation. Make sure to match your slides to the purpose of the presentation. Develop a template and stick to it for a consistent look and feel. Computer. Check your equipment, computer settings, and room lighting in advance. Before your presentation, turn off screensavers and email notifications. Make sure that your computer's power management console will not automatically shut the system down after a set amount of time. While technology allows you to make great enhancements to a presentation, it also offers more opportunities for technical trouble. Here are some suggestions to keep your presentation moving along, even if the technology isn't. Make 1 or more backup copies of your PowerPoint file on the computer on which you plan to show the presentation. Before the presentation, download and install the free Microsoft PowerPoint Viewer available at www.microsoft.com. In the event that your PowerPoint software won't run, you will still be able to use the viewer to show your PowerPoint slides. Copy your PowerPoint file onto a USB drive. That way, if you have a computer problem, you can move the file to another one if available. Bring sufficient printed copies of your presentation for participants. If logistics prevent that, plan to have at least 1 copy available for photocopying on site. If all else fails, write your key points on a flip chart. Now let's look at a practical illustration. Fran applauded Lisa's PowerPoint presentation. Lisa thanked her and asked, "Do you think there's anything I should change?" Fran said, "Well, your text and your bullet points look great. You use the right colours. However, I noticed that with every slide there are a few images and lots of effects and sound." Lisa said, "Do you think it's too much? Try to use images and effects sparingly so that the focus remains on the information." Lisa said, "Got it? I'll change it this afternoon." Fran said, "Be sure to also keep a backup of the PowerPoint presentation on your USB drive." Lisa smiled. "Already done, and I'll be printing out copies of the new slides for the participants." "Great, Lisa," Fran said. "I'm sure it will be a success."
A good video can make all the difference. Brian May.
Audio and video are very much a part of our everyday lives, so they are accepted and even expected media in a presentation. They are attractive options for a presentation because they provide learners with more dimensions by which to receive information. While video and audio both represent a one-way communication to participants, the opportunity to use them as part of learning exercises or in the ensuing discussion add value to the presentation and cater to differentiated learning styles. Video. There are three main ways to obtain video material. Creating your own media, purchasing online video designed for training presentations, hiring a professional video production company, your media budget, the amount of available preparation time, your comfort and skill level with video, and the type of presentation will all influence the direction. Audio. Audio can be used as a standalone option as part of a video, or even created by the participants, such as an exercise to write and sing a song. For video with audio, you will need some type of player, depending upon the media type. USB memory stick, a laptop or smartphone. You will also need a projector and a projection screen. Speakers are optional, but recommended for small rooms and groups. Finally, especially if budget is an issue, consider using one or more personal video devices such as laptops or mobile devices. YouTube is also a readily accessible resource for videos. You may also need a handful of inexpensive earbuds. While perhaps less formal than the others, this solution is much more portable if your presentation is delivering off-site. Purchase online video. Check reviews of the media online. Preview the work before you purchase. Test the video in conjunction with the exercise with a colleague before the presentation. Oh, cue the scene. Oh, tell the audience what to look for. Don't show any more than necessary. Personally created video. Plan by creating a simple outline that matches your presentation content. Create a storyboard using PowerPoint, a word processor, or paper before you record. Check your equipment thoroughly. Do a practice run before your final recording. Transfer the recording immediately to a computer or USB stick for backup. Professionally produced video from a production company. Create an outline. The storyboard may be provided by the production company. Carefully create a request for proposal and review several companies. Preview finished samples of each company's work. Ask for a client list and check with several of them. Plan to dedicate an in-house resource person to work with the production company. Manage costs through a pre-production meeting, trimming if necessary where it makes sense. Maintain frequent two-way communication during the project. If all proposals come in nearly equal, trust your instincts based on the relationships you have formed with the prospective companies. Regardless of the method you use for your audio and video, it is essential to have a backup plan in the event that something goes awry with the technology. Have one or two backup copies of your media, perhaps one on a USB flash drive. Test everything before the presentation. For higher-end productions, have a technician on standby if possible. Record and back up the audio track separately. If the video fails, you will still have the audio. Create a handout with the key concepts contained in your video. Then capture screenshots directly from the video, if permissible by copyright, and add them to a PowerPoint file. If sequence isn't an issue and you have access to a technician later, adjust your agenda to utilize the video later in the program. If, for any reason, none of the above is feasible, consider substituting a role play between you and the selected participants. Above all, today's participants understand the glitches that can be involved with using technology and will probably be empathetic as you carry on your presentation as if it was no big deal. Now let's look at a practical illustration. After talking to the coordinator, he learned that the technician could not come out to help him. Jarrett felt stressed. None of his electronics he brought had worked right. His backup plans had fallen through and now the internet was down. Jarrett kept a cool head. He turned to the audience. It appears that we have technical difficulties, so I won't be able to show the clip that I brought. However, I'd like to ask for 2 participants from the group. He took out a folder and opened it. I have a scenario I'd like 2 people to play out that illustrates the same point of the video. A few hands went up in the group. Jarrett carried out the role play he planned in case of emergency, and the training continued on successfully.
A sense of humor is a major defense against minor troubles. Mignon McLaughlin.
Bringing your presentation to the next level is something you can accomplish after feeling comfortable with all of the previous topics discussed. You can add the little touches that will produce a lot of value during your presentation. Humor is a popular way to liven up a presentation. It makes the audience align with you and sends a signal that you are in charge. Handled properly, humor enriches a presentation. When considering humor, make sure that whatever content you choose meets 4 criteria. You think the joke or lines are funny? You can repeat the piece confidently and comfortably. Your choice is not offensive to anyone, gender, race, age, disability, politics. Your audience will understand and appreciate what you are saying. A joke should have a punchline delivered with all you've got. Here are some tips for collecting and using humor. Jot down jokes as you hear them in everyday life. Classify them as your collection grows. Deliver any humor verbally only and keep things light. Match your humor to the demographics of the audience. Research and consider using local humor if you're working off-site. Don't be afraid to poke fun at yourself. If a joke or delivering humor with words isn't within your comfort level, consider sharing a light-hearted cartoon, doing a simple magic trick, or doing something else that is unexpected and evokes a reaction and some emotion from the participants. Questions can be used in many ways and at just about any time during your presentation. As an opener, to check whether the desired learning is occurring or to extend the learning experience, to diffuse a difficult or uncomfortable situation, to fill a long pause, to get a feel about the mood in the room. As we learned in Module 4, Verbal Communication Skills, you can use open, clarifying, or closed questions, depending upon your needs. Much of the discussion during your presentation will be structured to fit with the learning exercises. If a remark or question is made during a discussion that is off-topic, or something that should not be dealt with at the time, you can always add it to the parking lot and return to it during the wrap-up to bring closure. Quanda sessions. If time permits in your presentation, you may choose to hold a general question and answer session. As the presenter, you are in control. You can decide when to stop the discussion. In a large room, be prepared to repeat each question. If no questions arise, be prepared to ask one yourself. You can use an open question to begin the session. What questions do you have? Restating negative questions. If a question is phrased negatively, restate it. For example, why have so many of his staff displayed chronic absenteeism? Can be restated as, let's explore what we can do to reduce absenteeism in the team. Off topic? Don't forget about the parking lot if you receive an off-topic question. Leveraging experience in the room. There may be situations when you wish to redirect a question to one of the participants. Again, you are in charge, so call upon someone and keep the discussion moving on afterward. Now let's look at a practical illustration. One had set up all the video and audio needed. He had backup plans in place, and he had practiced the presentation last night. However, the only part that got him was including humor in his training. He just never quite delivered the jokes right. One started off by handing each participant a printout of 3 headlines. Local high school dropouts cut in half, kids make nutritious snacks, and hospitals sued by 7-foot doctors. At first, it was quiet. Then a few chuckles and laughs rippled through the crowd. Juan let the newspapers tell the joke for him, and he said, "As you can see, exact and careful wording and phrasing is necessary, whether you're a newspaper or an advertising agency," which is what we will be talking about today. Although this workshop is coming to a close, we hope that your journey to improve your presentation skills is just beginning. We wish you the best of luck on the rest of your travels. Learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Chinese proverb: the audience only pays attention as long as you know where you are going. Philip Crosby. Sometimes questions are more important than answers. Nancy Willard.